Jonas Kirsten. Yeah, really. Get that laughing, please.
It's too dumb.
Oh no.
Yeah, only if you knew what just happened between the two buggers. But anyway.
Nothing like a heated debate before we actually get on camera, okay? To start things off. Adrenaline pumping, blood boiling.
Cheerful.
Yeah.
Story for another day.
Yeah. Maybe it'll come out during the show. Okay, welcome to the third episode of the BullsEye Podcast with Mark and KK. Unreal. I wish we had some crazy topic to kick things off with. The first thing is Wilco Louw. It was a crazy act of strength. There's a video that's gone absolutely viral. For the Harlequins, the Stedman brothers, for those of you who don't know, two professional strongmen from Scotland, Luke and Tom. The one at 6'8" and 180 kgs, the other at 6'4" and 160 kgs. They were at the Harlequins training session and they were on the sled. And Adam Jones, scrum coach, pointed at Wilco and says, "You up. Let's see what you can do." And in an incredible show of power, he pushed the Stolpen brothers. It looked like he could do it all day. He had 3-4 pushes in him, could have done another 10. They were very impressed with his show of strength. Great potential prophecy and self-fulfilling prophecy for Vodacom Bulls fans when Wilco eventually joins us. We can't wait for him to arrive for the new season. Okay, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I was quickly going to say after how Mark, we saw that strength in that game against the Sharks. We watched it together, like how great he was at scrum time, at ruck time. It was just destructive. So,
folded ox
like a lawn chair, like you said, you said. So happy to have the man to be coming to us.
100%. Yeah. Another man coming to us, Kirsten, Exeter Chiefs player. We saw him score a try here at Loftus. That's officially a done deal. We'll announce it Friday morning. Of course, we're shooting on Thursday, but we're breaking the news now. Maybe the show will go out an hour or so before the signing, maybe 2 or 3 hours. But Kirsten, officially a Vodacom Bull, who'll be joining us for the new season. We said he can play lock, he can play blindside flank, predominantly use the blindside flank for Exeter, but we might be looking at him as maybe more of a 4. Be interesting to see how we utilize him.
Yeah. Excited to see him play Marks and him coming off the bench the other day. Like I think he was one of the bright spots off the bench, getting a try. But like you say, like 4 or 7, where we're going to use him, so that should be exciting. We could cover for the second row and obviously the loose trio.
Yeah, I might not to put him down, I might like to see him come off the bench with that number 19 role because he's so versatile. Of course, he can start a lot of games at 4 and 6 or 7, should I say? But that 19 role he might be able to really leave his mark there. Okay. Oh, last thing I want to say: go watch Exeter play Northampton Saints 2020. He was man of the match in that game. He made like 28 carries.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. Okay. He made 28 carries. 25 tackles, 17 carries, scored a try, had a turnover, 30 odd meters. I've never seen Oak make 28 tackles and 17 carries in a game. It's insane.
That's crazy. Yeah,
so he's work rate personified.
And he can score some tries. I'm excited to have him around here, Marcus. Then I read through a couple of articles, Marcus. So there was the first one from the SA Rugby Mag was URC chief says SA teams deserve to eat at the Champs Cup table. So essentially it was just saying, because obviously there was doubts about South Africa even joining European rugby and joining the URC. And obviously in the URC, we've shown that we are well worth our weight. Storm was winning it. And now in the Champions Cup, all South African teams doing well. Even in the EPCR, Marcus, the Lions doing well as well.
And the Cheetahs.
Yeah. So South African teams are really showing their worth up in Europe. So super excited to see. And I think I'm super excited to see the following rounds of the Champions Cup. It is rugby's elite. And then there was also a question asked on Rugby Pass of, has South Africa, as the inclusion of South African teams to the URC, given teams like the Ospreys and Edinburgh, more strength coming into the Champions Cup? And I think that's fair enough to say yes. You know what I mean? The Ospreys becoming the first Welsh team ever, Marcos, to beat the English champions.
That's incredible.
That is crazy. And they did that. They beat the Ospreys beat the Saris. So that was great, Marcos. So yeah, and then we also
my point on that case, and I think you've covered all of it. So I'm not going to talk from a play point of view. Obviously, as you mentioned, all 8 URC teams through. So we have more representation in the English Premiership and the French top 14, which is really interesting. But from a broadcasting perspective, Anai, I think he's the Anai is the I think he's the president of the EPCR or the Champions Cup. I might be getting that wrong, but he said the URC has broken all metrics in terms of spectator attendance, television audience, and the tournament continues to grow from strength to strength. So we've got this any given Sunday philosophy at the moment that any team can win on their given day. All 8 teams through from the URC. Fantastic for the tournament.
Yeah, fantastic.
Should I chat about my next debate?
Yeah, 100%.
This is a huge one, controversial one. The RFU, the rugby body in England, has announced that at all amateur levels from the next season, there'll be a tackle height reduction. All tackles have to be cannot be above the waist, which is, I mean, it's a scourge on the game. It's if this does go through, I think it's a death knell for rugby in general, because it'll only start seeping through to the professional ranks, and this could be the start of the end of rugby as we know it, the beginning of the end. A petition to have it reversed and binned has already reached over 70,000 signatures. Nigel Owens says, how do you, when you're trying to tackle from the try line, how do you tackle at the waist? If you tackle someone at the waist, his momentum's going to take him an extra meter or 2 meters. If you're on your own try line, you're pretty much conceding the try right there before it's scored.
100% as well, Marcus. And also, like, how are they going to do that, especially when you put the try line, when you're running in pairs, Marcus, when you're running with a low center of gravity, where you are positioning yourself deliberately to not be tackled. You know what I mean? And then how are they going to judge that? So I'm interested to see how that's going to work. Like you said, this could be the death of rugby, Marcus. And I hope that doesn't really come to proper fruition all around the world.
But also from a safety point of view, a number of players have come out and said it's actually more dangerous because you're going to get more knees to the head. Like, I know Joe Marler was big on this. Ben Stokes, the cricketer, his father was a pro rugby player.
Sure.
He said his father broke his neck playing rugby because he went for a low tackle, got a knee to the head. So he said, what do we want, more concussions or more broken necks? Which one's worse?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Ollie Hoskins, an Aussie player, said that he was part of a trial in the Challenge Cup where they did this, and it led to a significant increase in concussions. Moreover, Jacques, Namibian international Saracens legend, said he labeled it as crazy and went on to say that all we're doing now is protecting the ball carrier, but what about the tackler? It's more dangerous for the tackler at the minute. So this is already from a rugby perspective, we know it's terrible for the game. Yeah. It's terrible, but from an actual player safety perspective, which is labeled as the prime reason for making this crazy move, it's actually more dangerous. 100%. So why the hell are we doing it?
Yeah, I agree, Marcus. I think that the tackler, you are right. They don't get the benefit of the doubt enough, because the tackler, I think most times you put your body on the line to make a tackle. You know what I mean, Marcus? You know, you've been an open side flank and a blind side flanker. You know the arts of tackling, and it's a hell of a job compared to running with the ball is a lot more fun than having to make those tackles and dominant tackles. So they should protect the tacklers definitely a lot more, Marky.
We need to be careful because last time it looked like we were touching hands. Are we going to do the Scarlets one, or should we maybe leave it for when we chat Scarlets? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to that Lyon game. 31-7 pummeling, I think is fair to say, KK. Yeah. But I mean, you've got a hell of a lot of stats to go over. Yeah. I just want to say before we go on, I think there's a massive overreaction in Vodacom Bulls fan circles in the media about our performance at the moment. Teams saying we've fallen off, or people saying we've fallen off. But I totally disagree. You know, we threw to the next stage of the I keep messing up, the Champions Cup. And we threw to the next stage. We still third in the URC. We won 2, lost 2. We won both our home games, including playing a second string team. I mean, again, we didn't play our full string team against Lyon in Lyon, and we said that this is probably the first time the Bulls franchise ever played in the snow. 100%. Totally alien conditions. I don't think this is representative of where we are, and I'm still very comfortable with where we are.
Yeah, 100%, Marcus. And on that note, Chris Rousseau said obviously the weather was terrible. It was the first time of the boys playing in France, but we can't take away from the progress we've made over the past 3 weeks, especially after the loss against the Sharks. Yeah, since then we've made great progress within the squad, Marcus, especially in the Euros and even the Champions Cup, beating Exeter Chiefs. So I fully agree with you, Mark. But that game, it wasn't our day out there, Marcus. We're just I think a step behind the game the whole time. You know, on defense, we have to give credit to. They were great on defense. We weren't Lyon, Marcus. And then you spoke about how their ruck speed, is as good as ours, but they just showed it, didn't they? It wasn't the ones that like 2.3 seconds. It was crazy. It was crazy. So something like that, Marcus. And on attack, they were great. You know, they gained 460. Well, we gained 462 meters. They gained 207.
They're more efficient.
They're exactly a lot more efficient. They were striking, Marcus, and they were on their defense. We couldn't get anywhere. So they were really, really strong, Marcus. And then another one, we missed 22 tackles and conceded 17 penalties, conceded a yellow card and 17 penalties. So with those stats, you can't win.
Yeah, so discipline you mentioned, but I want to also say that when you look at these stat sheets, it's always interesting that the team that usually gains the more meters and has the most carries loses, because they're usually chasing the game and they're having to come away from their structures. So right now, we're not championing throwing the ball around playing champagne rugby. It's not necessarily the team that attacks the most or even the best. It's the team that attacks most efficiently that wins the game. Lyon were just much more efficient on the day. I mean, we almost had 500 meters in the game. That's brilliant on paper, but we only scored 1 try. So it was a lack of execution and efficiency on the day. We'll be back. We know that we were probably expected to lose that game in those conditions. We only arrived in Lyon on Wednesday. Flying economy, I always have to bring that one up. So, I mean, the odds were really against us. I mean, the Sharks lost to the Harlequins. I mean, that's just what's going to happen in this competition.
Yeah, 100%. You can't take, even from the Sharks, we don't talk about the Sharks, we can't take it away from the Sharks. I think they've been playing good rugby this season, so they can't really say much about those losses for the two South African teams for sure, Marky.
Okay, sticking with, let's go into URC. We're going to chat off the cuff now, have a couple of debates. Let's get that adrenaline pumping. KK,
Trying to do first, bud.
let's predict the top 8.
Top
in
eight,
URC.
okay,
So
cool.
let's predict our top 8 and then what we think quarters, semis, finals going to be. Do you want to kick things off?
Okay, man, I don't mind going first, boy. So I think Leinster, they're the best team in Europe, probably the best team in the world at the moment. I think they will stick, and even with the games running in, I think their hardest games probably against us here at Loftus Versfeld coming into the back end of their season.
Still top that game.
And I think that's why I think if we've obviously got Stormers and the Leinster who are going to be the big game. I think if we win those 2 games, we're going to win the rest of the other 4 Marcos. So I think Bulls can end up second. I think Leinster and Stormers, I'm backing the Bulls to beat Leinster and Stormers at home, Marcos. If we win those, I think we can win. We can end up second and push and drop, and Stormers will drop to third. Because Stormers still have to play the Sharks away from home, and I think Sharks are on good form at home, Marcos. So that's
those conditions.
Those conditions. And I've got 4. I've got Ulster. I've got 5 months. I think Munster will push on. They'll push on. I think they have. They started the season very slowly, but I think they've gotten a whole lot better. 6. This is going to be interesting. I don't know if they're going to back me. At 6, I've got the Sharks. I just think because of their home record. Yes, they've got tough fixtures to come. They've got Ulster coming up. I think they can beat Ulster, and then they've got a game against also against the Stormers, and they've got one more hard game. I think they can win those 2 games. They can really push on to become 6th. And I think they're in a similar position we were in last season, Marcus, where we were at 9th, trying to push for that top 8 position, and we ended up 6th. I think they can actually do that because of guys like Eben Etzebeth, Marcus. And we'll speak about his inclusion and how much he brings around their team. So I think with those guys around, they can actually push on. 7, I've gone Edinburgh, and then 8, Glasgow. That's my top 8.
Interesting. Okay, so mine's quite different. Yeah. I've gone Leinster top of the log. We all know they're undefeated at the minute. Probably only going to lose 1 game to us this season, in regular season. Second, I've gone Bulls. I agree with you. I think we're going to beat Leinster and we're going to beat the Stormers.
We're doing something today.
Yeah, we won't last much longer. 3 Stormers. Okay, 4. This is my big call.
So we agree on that.
This is my big call. Yeah.
Glasgow 4, yeah.
Glasgow are playing phenomenal rugby. They dominated the Stormers in Glasgow. And when I say dominate, not on the scoreboard, it took a late try, but they were the better team for 80 minutes. Beat the Stormers, who were red hot at the time. I think Glasgow going to end 4th. 5th, I've gone Ulster. I think they're one of the best coached teams in the comp. Last year, they finished 4th. They were one of the best teams in the comp last year. They could have finished higher. This year, I think they've dropped. They've fallen off slightly. So I've got them at 5. But those 2 are interchangeable. 6, I've gone Sharks. Agree with you. 7, Munster.
Wow. That's nice. That's like it.
Yeah, 7 Munster. I agree. Started slow. They've come back. I think they're mid-table to slightly above mid-table team. Cool. And then Edinburgh at 8. I think they're also coming to. This is a team that's massively underperformed. If you look at Edinburgh on paper, it's brilliant. Yeah. Darcy Graham, Duan van der Merwe, Piers Skuman. Yeah. It's a phenomenal team. Hamish Watson. It's a phenomenal team. But they've underperformed massively. I still think they sneak into the top 8.
Yeah, I also think so too, Marcus. I wanted to ask you as well. Obviously the team that didn't make the top 8, like so we left out Benetton, we left out Connacht, we left out Ospreys. What are your reasons? Do you think there's what they're running? Do you think they've got the quality against the other big boys?
Benetton doesn't have the quality, but they've got the coaching. They're a really well coached, well structured team, which is odd for an Italian side, if you don't mind me saying. Yeah. Really well coached team. And good team, but a proper, good mid-table team. Sure. They're never going to make the semis of the URC. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever do that. Yeah. Maybe they'll make the playoffs one day. They're close, not quite there. What's the other team we were chatting about?
Connacht and Ospreys.
Connacht's also a really physical team, but lacking a bit of quality, especially in the backs outside of Mac Hansen. Ospreys, I don't think any of the Wolves teams are good.
Yeah, I super agree with that. I
think Cardiff's better than Ospreys.
Yeah, 100%. So that's why I say, that's why I asked about those, because yes, they do get big scalps under them. Ospreys had a big one in Europe, but it doesn't mean that they can continue that on to the URC. I kind of feel like the URC could be as difficult as the Heineken Champions Cup at the moment.
But you just mentioned they got that huge win in the Champions Cup, but they're not winning consistently in the URC 100%. Whatsoever. So it's weird. Okay, our next debate, we're going to look in where within the squad we can add depth. So we're not saying we want to buy some massive marquee player, although we'll mention it. We're just looking to add depth in certain positions. Yeah, sure. We said tight head, we're a little bit thin. You got Mornay and Francois Klopper, but a little bit thin at tight head. You probably need to bolster that room a little bit. We signed Wilco. So that kind of thing is what we're looking for. KK, you do yours first.
Yeah, so I've looked at the inside centre position at number 12. I just think we need more depth there. We need some cover for Harold Foster, Marcus. He's obviously, for me, one of the best 12s in the country for sure at the moment. But cover there would be great. So Mark came up with a great idea of how we should tier these. So guys, we would love to see in that number 12 role. So obviously, number 1, Andre Estes, and I mean we saw him against the Sharks this weekend. He was destructive again, bashing in the midfield, Marcus, and I think it'd be great at the Bulls as well. Then second,
but obviously you got 2 first-string 12s there, so it's not. No, we're never going to make that signing. But we're
never going to make the signing. But I don't think it would be a bad idea because we're playing in 3 competitions as well. You know what I mean? There's lots of rugby to be played. So that'll be great for our depth. Young Serfontaine,
everyone would love that.
Yeah, he would love that. He would come back. That also similar position about him with Andre Estes. Just having 2 great number 12s in your squad would be awesome for the depth and also for trying to get further into these big competitions. And
he's got 12-13 versatility as well.
100%, Marky. And then 12, and then the 2 guys that I think we probably could get and maybe should get. David Blitzboks, he's a sensational rugby player, Marcus, I think, because I've watched him play at Steadies. He's played with Chris Smith. He's played with other Chris Smith, Barton Smith, in Hobbies for his team, and he was so good at 12 and 13 as well. Big ball carriers, quite quick for a big boy as well. And then the last one is Xander du Plessis, just basing it purely on that Currie Cup season he had last year, Marcus. Top point scorer in the Currie Cup. Hasn't played much rugby for the Lions. I'm not sure if he's injured. But he got his big move to the Lions. Hasn't been playing much. He's been playing Marius slow, which is very odd for me. I think Xander's a lot better. Big ball carrier as well. Great boot. Great distance boot, and then great kicking for the poles. So nice versatility from Xander, and he can play 10. So yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at 4. I think we've got like a couple of guys over there and thereabouts. Like we know Sheep, who we're going to have on the show in a minute. He's been injured a lot. And then you got Ruan Vermaak, who's now stepping up, really physical. I've loved his last 2 performances, especially against Exeter here. He was a machine. He was a colossus. So those are the 2. And then Janko, I prefer at 5. I think he's a nice line-out operator, one of the up-and-coming top line-out generals in the country. He's nice backup and nice foil for Ruan Okia. So I think we need probably another 4. So I'm not going to look at an Ashia Snyman or a Jason Jenkins or even a Ruan Koeta. I would love to see a JP Dupree, who's playing overseas at the minute, guy who made a name for himself at the Cheetahs. Really, really phenomenal player. He's 2.0. How tall is he? He's 2.09, I believe. 2.09. So he's taller than Andries Becker, which is phenomenal. He's the tallest man to ever play Super Rugby. Probably the tallest professional rugby player in the world at the moment.
Is he a 4?
He's a 4. 4 or 5. He can play. He's got versatility there. He's a monster. Great offloading game. Obviously, at 209, he's enormous, brilliant in the lineouts. But a nice physical edge to him. So really enjoying him. I think he's at Sale, or he was at Sale, now he's left. But phenomenal rugby player. I'm also looking at JJ van der Mesh, who left the Sharks. Bit of work rate issues there, but also colossus in that mold. Now playing for Stade Francais. Leroux Roots is currently playing for the Sharks, but not really utilizing him. Another massive. You can see the kind of 4s I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Huge
big
man.
Boys, yeah.
205, 130 odd kgs monster. And then the other one, this is an up-and-coming rugby player. JF van Heerden. He played for Grey Bloem.
Okay.
He is, in my opinion, he's going to be the next Springbok 4 when Irvin retires. He's that we're saying that there's a lack of these monsters coming through the ranks. He fits that mold to a T. He's a massive boy. If someone can actually send me his height and weight, I'd really appreciate it because I've been searching for weeks. I can't find him.
Is he still in high school?
No, he's just left. He's just finished. Yeah. He is a monster of a rugby player. So look out for him. In the next 2 years. Actually, don't know which union he signed with. I'm hoping we can land him, but I think I've got a horrible feeling he signed for Province.
Okay.
But if we could land that signature, that'd be great, and that's the depth there. Okay, happy with that. Know your foe. We're playing Scarlets on Friday night over there in where they're Lyon, I believe. A word on Scarlets, Jacques. 15th on the table. I mean, not a great team, are they?
Yeah, 15th on the table, Marcos. No, they don't give much. You know what I mean? If you look at their stats, I'll look at their strengths, and I'm sure you want to look at their weaknesses. Just quickly, firstly, the last time we played them, we beat them 57-12 here in Pretoria. It was an absolute drubbing, and they've only won 2 of their last 8 home matches. So they're not great on their home, and they've been winning more games away from home in the URC, which is weird. And then they've won all the games in EPCR, so which is sensational. But just quickly, the stats for 3rd best attack. They've scored the 12th most amounts of points. And then if you look at 106 offloads, meters gained, they second, defenders beaten, they 3rd, and clean breaks, they 1st. But so you would think that they're getting over the trial and a lot more, Marcos. But their strike rate is terrible because look at the points scored and try scored. They're 12th, 159, and then and
So
tries 31.
That goes exactly back to the point we mentioned earlier that this is the team that's attacking or keeping a lot of ball in hand, making meters, but not getting over the whitewash. So lacking that execution and efficiency, and that's why they're a poor team.
Yep.
Is now efficiency the name of the game in attack in rugby? Clearly it is. It's not holding the ball for as long as you can. So when you have that ball, be efficient. And we're really efficient at the ruck. So I think that's one thing that we've got going for us. So this is a great attacking team stats-wise on paper, but they're not scoring tries. And then at the end of the day, it's pointless.
Yeah, it's super pointless, Marcos. And then also, I don't know if you want to chat about this, that they're 13 yellow cards and 4 red cards. They're both lost in that. I mean, you can't win a rugby game if you're playing a man down for a period of a rugby game every single game. Absolutely no discipline.
No, the one thing they got going for them is they scrum. You mentioned they tied for second, 96% success rate. So good scrum.
Decent job.
I think Samson Lee has something to do with that. He's a great tight end. But other than that, there's a few players you want to spotlight.
Yeah, I've gone for Sam Lucy. No, I'm joking. Lousy. Yes, good old Sam.
The Tongan behemoth.
Yeah, the Tongan behemoth, Marcos. I saw an awesome stat from SA Rugby Mag. So Sam Lousy has thrown more offloads than any other player this season 11. He has also made the most choke tackles in the competition, 6. So he is obviously their defensive warlord. They can look to him to make those dominant tackles. Marcos is Sam Lousy. And then I've looked at Jonathan Davies, also from SA Rugby Mag. He's a veteran, Jonathan Davies, a Welsh international, has won more turnovers than any other back 12. 4 more than the next best runners from the Sharks. So he's definitely, and 5 of these have been 1-on-1 strips. So in the tackle, he's very dangerous. So the guys running in the midfield are going to be very careful of how Jonathan Davies will try to isolate them and try to strip the ball. So yeah, excited to see that.
I'm just going to look at one player. Also, we spoke about Tongan Colossuses. I'm looking at Kalamafoni, the number 8. I think he's one of the hardest hitters in world rugby at the moment. He is just physicality personified.
That's Sione.
Yeah, Sione Kalamafoni. He is a monster. He's about 125 kg, 6'5", 8-man. So he's a beast. Need to shut him down early. Also got that offloading game as all Pacific Islanders do. I think it's the time of the show to bring on our guest this week, Jacques du Plessis.
The anomaly, finally.
The shit. Thank you so much for joining us, Jacques. Really appreciate it.
Nice to be here.
The seat straight from training, yeah?
Yeah, straight from training.
How was it?
No, it's good, awesome.
Yeah, like
guys, the vibes are good. Training really hard, so yeah, it's just awesome.
Awesome.
The size difference here is hilarious. Like Russian dolls. First one, Jacques, we have to ask. I think obviously nickname is Sheep. Yes. I think everyone wants to know where does that come from?
I knew you were gonna ask.
Yeah.
That. Literally, when you sent me you want to have an interview with me today, I knew last night. No, it's just since I was a small boy, my mom used to call me Scarpy, and then from there my brother just called me Sheep, and then it stick from a young age, man, 5 years old, so it always stick with me. All my good friends know me as Sheep.
Are you from the farm?
Yeah, I come from the northern part of KZN. It's next to Swaziland. Pongola is the place name. Sugar farmers, mainly that's living there. We farm also with sugarcane. Okay. And that's where I'm from.
Okay, awesome. And then from Pongola, so you went Pongola farming sugarcane, and then you obviously moved to Ermelo. Was that move a rugby move, a family move?
I actually, in grade 8, I went to Kirsten College.
Oh, really?
I was there for 1 year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a little bit far from home, 6.5 hours, 7 hours. So I finished my grade 8 year there, and then obviously for rugby and sport, I went there. And then I moved to Ermelo. My brother was in Ermelo, my mother was there. My family grew up there, so I got quite a history going there. So it was very good move for me going there, especially for my athletics career as well. KZN is more on cricket and rugby, not a lot on athletics. So, and then I went to Ermelo from grade 9 till 12.
Oh, would you say you were more into the athletics than the rugby at that stage?
I love it. Till today, I love it. I watch all the athletics on TV, and I just love the smell of that. The tartan field. What do you say in English?
The track.
Yeah, the track.
The race,
It gives me memories. I love it.
Well, we have to ask then, because you were a javelin Olympian, really, a junior Olympian.
Discus.
Was it discus?
Discus, not javelin. I also did javelin.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't
weird.
Because then I saw because I checked. We do research on the show. It said javelin, and then I saw your times or your distances for discus.
Times for javelin.
No, it said distances.
I said distances.
Speed from the
I did say distances for discus. Okay, and then is it true that you broke Dwayne Vermeulen's discus record? Is that true?
Yeah, no, we competed a lot in Nelspruit Hoër School.
Yeah.
Also a very, very good school. And his record was there, and I broke it, so it was quite for me, it was a big achievement.
And do you still sometimes go back to the track and do it?
I
When you have
love
some
it.
free time?
I love it. My son already wears my athletic clothes, and
Lovely.
I have a lot of discuses at home, and I gave him a small one, and a lot of times in the afternoon he tells me, "Dad, let's throw discus." And he's 4 years old.
That's
So
awesome.
and he can already spin and stuff. Now I love it. Till today, I tell my wife a lot, if I can have a second career, I'll do athletics.
And
So
then, yeah.
it's really a big passion of mine.
Yeah, and then just quickly,
Well,
what?
we've got to stick with the Dwayne thing.
Okay,
I have to
Dwayne,
know
okay,
this.
cool. Okay,
So
sorry,
you
Marky.
two, were you like the two? Was it? I don't want to say the alphas, but was that the thing? It's like it's Jacques versus Dwayne.
No, but Dwayne is much older than me.
I know, but
It was. Mpumalanga, the school where I was at, Plessis record was there as well. I broke his record as well.
Gee.
And then Dwayne's at Nels.
It is the alpha male.
But it was awesome knowing flipping Dwayne is a legend, man, and knowing you. Yeah, it was just a big achievement for me, and I felt quite. Hoe kan ek dit sê in Engels? Ja, it was just awesome. But it was.
Maar net sê in Afrikaans. Jy sê in Afrikaans if you need to.
Ja, ek weet nou self nie wat ek wil sê nie. Maar dit was net 'n goeie gevoel.
Good feeling.
It was wonderful.
does that record still stand? You know.
I think so. But there's always somebody that's better than you in something. So you may think it's going to stand, but there's always somebody that's flipping good. But I think it still stands. Somebody told me.
That's awesome. And then when you were obviously you from KZN to Ermelo, watching rugby, which team did you grow up? I'm very interested to find out which team did you grow up supporting, honestly.
Is it Sharks? Please tell me it's not Sharks.
Oh, yeah, it was the Stormers. I can't.
Even worse.
No, I promise you.
It's
terrible. No, it's terrible. No,
I have to keep it in because it's terrible.
Shit, it's on video. And then always the province and Stormers. My dad comes from the Cape.
Okay.
He played there for Marties and Boland and stuff.
Okay.
So obviously he supported them, and you normally support what your dad supports.
Yeah.
And it's just I probably got like 20 province jerseys in my closet, but it's packed up.
You need to burn those.
Right at the back.
And then when obviously after school when I signed off the Bulls, Bulls is my side now. I'll never I think that I'll ever after rugby or my kids or whatever support another team. Bulls is my team, 100%.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
I've got some SN 20 questions I want to ask you.
I was just quickly going to ask you that I know you played kind of 13 Craven Week, if I'm not mistaken, for KZN. Yeah, and then under 18 for Pumas. In that season, how did you guys do?
Pumas on 18, we had a very good side.
Yeah.
We beat the Bulls. We beat everyone except we beat the province.
Oh, really?
We beat everyone. I think we came like third at the Craven Week. We lost to Cheetahs the second game at Craven Week, but we kicked 18 points, missed the Bulls. And we lost with like 14 points. We had a very good side. I played with Kwaga, Werner Kok. So we had a really very good side. Really good side.
Cool. Well, speaking of good sides, I was going back and looking at that team, that SN 20 team. You obviously played 7 then. That team was incredible. I mean, Kwaga was there as well. A number of Chesn Colby at fullback. I think Stoney was at 8. Andre Polo. Incredible team. Do you think that team underperformed slightly?
Yeah, I think we did. Honestly. England won the competition. We beat them with like 28 points to 7 or 10, something like that, if I can remember, or 12 or whatever. And then obviously the semi-final, there happened a few things in the camp that I can't talk about. And I think that had an influence on the players. And then, I just think we were so scared to play against Wales that we forgot what makes us good. And that led to us losing. And I think till today we should have won the competition. Definitely we underperformed. Definitely.
And then, I mean, a lot of those players have gone on to have incredible careers. Of course, you included. What's it like now? We just about to announce the signing of Kirsten arriving here, a guy that you played with there. What's it like crossing paths with these guys again? I know you guys both played junior rugby.
Is a great friend of mine. I talk to him every day, man. We are very good friends, very, very good friends. So that's awesome for me personally, for him coming, having a very good friend here, starting here on the 19 together. We have a lot in common. So I think I can't wait, literally I can't wait. It's a great mate of mine.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what do you think he brings, like on the rugby field?
No, yes, he's a look. There's no things about him. He just works hard. That's what he does. He hits 50 rocks a game, tackles 30 tackles a game. He doesn't do the flashy work. He just grinds, gets started.
Important work there.
He's that's epitomizes Blue Bulls rugby for me.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
That is exactly the players that we want.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be a massive asset to the club.
And just speaking about how big the club is, so I saw a thing. I don't know if this is true, but in your debut, you guys beat the Limpopo Bulls 110-0. Was that true?
Yeah,
110-0. Okay, cool.
I remember very well that game. We played. I think it wasn't that game. Dean Geiling, our first scrum. The guy that scrummed opposite him was so excited. He said, like, I'm scrumming next to against the Bok today. So that was quite nice. Seeing that.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask. I wanted to beat them 110-0, and then you scored your first try the following week against the Griffins, if I'm not mistaken, for the Bulls. Yes. So I wanted to find out, how do you not score a try in a 110 point? When you lose, when you win 110-0, but you score the following weekend.
I made like 40 tackles that game.
Okay, fair enough.
Like 40 tackles in a game, we scored 110.
No, I don't know. I think who's the fullback that's at the Sharks now? Fulmonk. I think it was him.
Yeah.
He scored like 4 tries that game. I think it was him.
It's Fulmonk.
Anthony
Fulmonk.
I'm sure it was him. He scored like 4 tries. I'm sure it was him. He scored all the tries.
Okay, awesome.
Not the forwards. We did all the hard work, just passed it back.
Standard.
Yeah.
And then my last one from junior rugby, you obviously started at 7, SN at 20. That's quite rare. I know Peter Steff I think he maybe laid the foundation, because he was, I think, the year before you at SN at 20 level. He was 2012, you were 2013. It's rare to see a guy of your size that early on in his career starting at 7, would you say? Like at matric, and that you're playing lock, surely.
Yeah, I agree with you, but no, matric. My whole career I played 8 man. I never played lock. I never ever played lock. I always played loose forward. So obviously I was then lighter than I was now. I'm now a little bit heavier. But yeah, I've always been playing loose forward. I love playing loose forward. I played 8 man a lot at Montpellier as well. But
is that your favorite position?
When you're younger, you are like that. You're a little bit selfish. You want to play loose forward. So now it's difficult playing lock. You don't like it or whatever. But when you're older, man, I'll play wing or prop if I have to, wherever I can help the team. So that is. So I have no. There's not better or I don't prefer position now. When I was younger, I would prefer loose forward, but now I don't care.
Yeah. You mentioned Montpellier. Just quickly, let's chat about that. Yeah, let's chat about Montpellier for a little bit. So we can't speak to Jacques du Plessis and not speak about Montpellier. You know what I mean? You got over 100 caps there, 100 caps there. You're probably a legend in those parts of the world. Strong team. I think they won the top 14 last season, didn't they? So just a nice little roundup of your time there. The people there and the friends you made and the rugby.
That's awesome. When we arrived in Montpellier, I think we almost got relegated. Jacques arrived there, got a few guys there. And for me, I'm really happy where Montpellier ended. Like, I worked my whole career, the last 6 years there, to win a top 14. We won 2 Challenge Cups. We came in, every year we won the top 6. We lost in the final 1 year. All the other years, semi-finals, we lost. So eventually that foundation was set, and I'm happy they could have. I'm sad that I couldn't have won it with them last year, because we worked hard on it. Rugby, it's never 1 year or 2 year thing. It's a process. It's a process. It takes time. Look at any good side: the Lions, the Bulls that time, the Boks now. Any good side, Saracens that time. It's a team that stick together for a long time. And eventually that showed. And last year they won. So for me, I'm really proud to know I had a
role,
influence on the team winning the top 14. No, we had an awesome time, me and my wife. We married here and directly we went over, so we didn't marry and stay a little bit here. So I spent there 6 years, got my son there. I loved it. I love every minute of it. I saw the world. I knew, I learned a different culture, French, which is much different than our culture.
How's your French?
Oh, I can speak okay. Between me and my wife, we can really we can come around. But it's quite difficult. It feels to me like the more you know, the less you know. So, no, it's quite a difficult language. But I think if you live 6 years there, you have to learn it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't just go there and do your own thing. Otherwise, they'll tell you, hey, you have to go. So, no, I had an amazing time there. Played with a lot of top class players. Learned from a lot of coaches. And if I could take sometimes I think to myself, I shouldn't have left that early. But everything, there's a plan for everything in life. And I know I wouldn't be the person today if I didn't go through that experiences. And because there was tough times as well.
Yeah.
You're a little bit alone there, especially for your wife and your kid. It's not easy always, but in general, we learned a lot, and I'm grateful for that.
Brilliant. I was just about to ask you if you felt you left a little bit early. When you were leaving, did you feel that maybe there was a chance you were giving up on Springbok aspirations?
No, definitely. I think definitely it made it difficult. That time I was involved in like 4 or 5 camps.
Yeah.
And when I left, I think once Alistair Coetzee talked to me, and there came nothing of it. No, definitely. I think definitely it made it more difficult for me, especially that time they didn't choose guys play overseas, but I changed it for nothing. Like I said, I won't be the person I am today if I didn't go through that experiences. So, I don't look back. I did look back at the time, and I had a terrible time. Mentally, I was in a dark place, always thinking about the box and stuff. And sometimes you go home and you're negative and you whatever, how it is. And then I just thought to myself, hey, listen, you have to make a change. Don't think about it anymore. It's still a goal of mine.
What is that?
At this time, it's a little bit difficult with all the injuries, I know. But I know time will heal all things.
Yeah, and on the just on the injury note. Yeah. Just for all this, because it's always nice to see, someone who's who's got so much perseverance. You know what I mean? Especially for pro rugby players, good for the kids who watch this.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, just for the kids, how do you keep motivated when you're going through a spell in your career where you just you're getting so many injuries?
For me, I can understand with a lot of people. I think you get in a dark place, and what motivates you, especially if you. For me, it's not. I'm just injured now. This last 3 years was difficult for me. Play injured. It's for 3 years now since COVID. But I'm just happy I grew up with unbelievable support, and my dad teaching me a lot about the life and all that stuff. So I never in my life had the thing about motivation or somebody that has to motivate me to train. I always just did it. Since I'm 5-6 years old, I was always the kid that wake up early, always the kid that train till last. I love it, man. I love it. I love training. It's a passion, absolutely a passion of mine. And I don't. There's not one specific thing that I can say
that you do, or it's just in you.
I do it. It's my lifestyle. It's my lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's honestly, it's my. I wake up in the mornings early. The first thing I do is I go to gym, and then it's just my lifestyle. I love it, man. I think if you love what you do, then it makes it easier. Honestly, then it makes it easier. But with that being said, there is times that it's tough, and because you have expectations of you coming to the club, and a club like the Bulls, it's just normal to people having big expectations because it's a flippin' world-class club. And to come here and just injure the whole time, that eats on me a little bit. That's a little bit tough, I would say, on the group. But more personally, I'm hard on myself. So you want to give back, man. You want to give back. And that makes it tough for me, to know that you're so much better than where you are at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, look, last injury. We have to just speak about it quickly. So you make your return. You're playing against Lyon. You were sorry. We have to, so we were up in the gantry commentating, and you were having a blind. You're throwing offloads left, right, and center, putting Navuka away, throwing yourself into contact, and then we see you down on one knee, and we go, "Oh no, surely not." Yeah, we thought Achilles. Maybe it was that.
But how good was that try?
No, it's exceptional.
Unbelievable.
It was one of the best tries I've seen at Loftus. It was mad.
He scored an amazing try. But he's quick, so.
So you started it. I mean, you gave the offload that essentially put them away eventually. What was going through him? So it was a hand injury, right?
Yeah, no, I honestly, I sat there, I'm like, I questioned my existence a little bit. No, I just thought to myself, like, God, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, honestly, like, what's happening? And then I had a lot of thoughts going through, and the normal things you have, like you dropping the union, but it's honestly like, what can you do? It's not my fault. I don't want to be
100%.
injured. I'm working so freaking hard. People don't always know what's going on agter die skerms. So I couldn't believe it. I'm shell shocked. When I lied down immediately, I told Doc, my hand's broken. So and then after the game the next day, I felt bad, but then I gave it till about the afternoon. Now I told myself, now it's over. I felt bad. That's behind me now. I'll be positive. Look forward. There's always a reason. It's flipping terrible timing that you can't lie. Come back injured again. Now I can just imagine what everybody is thinking. This guy, what is he doing here? He's just coming here for the money. That's what I thought, and that's what a lot of people think. That is what a lot of people think.
Yeah, but they deluded then.
But how can someone think that if you've broken your hand?
But you know it is.
No, I know. Yeah.
It is, injured, come back injured
Yeah.
again. So people start to question you. And just one day I felt bad because I learned that time at the Bulls. We had a doctor, Dr. Yanni Botha. He always used to tell us as well. It's good to feel bad one day. It's good you have to have your emotion. If you have a bad game, the next day feel bad. So you don't want to feel bad again. So, but then the next day when you wake up, then it's behind you now. And then that's all right. Monday I woke up, it's behind me. That's what I felt. But no, it's going good now. Training really hard. Flipping bunch of awesome guys training here. We're pushing each other, hands feeling great at lineouts, lifted, did everything, gym now with my hand.
Awesome.
No, man, I think it's
You think
even
you'll be back
stronger.
soon?
I think it's stronger than it was before. Honestly.
You're going to be back soon, you reckon? How many weeks you give us? A week?
I think next week I'm right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
But
Gee, that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
I'm 6 weeks this week. So no, it's flipping. It's really feeling awesome. I can't complain.
Okay, one or two questions on the Bulls now before you go. What are your goals now with this unit? I mean, you're still a young man, 29, getting into your prime, I think, as a tight or loose forward. What are your goals with this union? What do you want to do here? What do you want to achieve?
My goal at the moment is I want to be constant. Just I want to be involved. Just constant be there. What happened now this last 3 years, I play 4 games out, 3 games out. I want to be involved week in, week out. I want to make it, and that's the only way you can make a difference. That's the only way, so I just want to be sure I'm fit so I can be in the mix week in and week out. Yeah, that's my goal for now, just to play rugby.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Okay, let's get our last segment. Can you bring the pen and paper there, Mr. Producer, man? So we get every guest to write down. We ask them who's their MVP in the squad. Not necessarily the most talented player, but the guy who gives the most on the field, off the field, whatever. We keep it anonymous. We don't show the fans, and we'll just ask you one question about who it is without giving that cheese. You already know.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, this
No
guy,
thoughts.
since the beginning when I came here, het hy indruk op my gemaak. So this guy, I can't say his name. Since the beginning when I arrived here, he stood out. He stood out his presence. When he walks in, he's there. Just the way he talks, the way he handles himself. What I like about him, he didn't have it easy in his life as well. And he, persevered?
Persevered, yeah.
Went through and look where he is now. He's on the top of his game. He's not young anymore. Never complains. Flipping. He has a great attitude. Works hard. Every game when he plays, he makes a difference. I just like his attitude, man. I love his attitude. I love it. I remember the first day when I walked into the locker room, he had like quotes, and he opens up his locker room, and I looked, and I don't know if he saw me look, but I saw he had like a few quotes in there. And I just knew this guy, he means business. He's not here for the money or whatever. He loves it. He loves it, and he wants to make a difference. And he's made the biggest impact on me.
Awesome.
What a way to end. That was perfect.
Great.
Sheep, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a
Thank you a
phenomenal
lot.
conversation.
Thank you a lot. I
Cheers.
really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sheep.
That's it. Cheers. Have a good day.
All right, let's get straight back into it. What a chat that was with Sheep. Next guest, the one and only Stedman Gans.
There we go. The superstar.
Thanks so much for joining us, Steady.
Sorry.
Really appreciate it. That's the mic there. Thank you. Yo, okay, so much to chat about, Stedman. I think the first one, you're from Vredenburg.
Yes.
Correct? That's North. We're having this debate now, so maybe you can help us out here. Is that considered North Coast?
No, it's West Coast.
West Coast. Yes. Thanks,
But it's the North. It's North Coast.
Yeah.
Why do you say it's North Coast?
Well, it's north of Cape Town, correct? On this coast.
No, it's not.
Where's
It's towards the west. It's towards, actually, when you look at it, it looks like you're driving down to the south, actually.
Okay,
Isn't it?
Nightmare,
Yeah. If you what you call it, when you leave Cape Town, you're going towards. You drive first towards doesn't matter that towards Plettenberg and stuff. I think and then there's a turn off.
No.
So not
You go towards Langerbaan.
Langerbaan. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so we both took ours.
Yeah. But anyway,
Okay, so the first question, I know you in a relatively recent interview, you described yourself as one of the lucky ones coming out of Vredenburg, making a career for yourself. Just what did you mean by that comment?
Just so the way I ended up in Pretoria is because my dad, he used to work that side, got a job this side, and obviously we had to move. And if it wasn't for that move, I wouldn't have gone to Waterkloof, and then I wouldn't have ended up at the Bulls, I think. Or my road to the Bulls would have been much harder. And that's why I consider myself lucky, because my dad worked hard. He got a job opportunity. It changed my life.
100%. When you moved to Waterkloof, was it high school there?
Yeah,
Grade 8.
grade 8.
Okay, also
Second semester.
Second semester.
Yeah.
That's a hard time to get used to a school as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody has formed groups already.
100%.
So you have to fight a bit to get in, but rugby makes it easy.
Yeah,
You just
100%.
join the rugby.
And you started playing rugby from prep school there.
No, since I can remember,
Yeah.
first grade, obviously started playing, haven't stopped since.
So what was that transition like, coming from a school in Vredenburg to Waterkloof? Obviously, I think maybe not a giant, but one of the big schools, rugby schools in the country.
Great
What was
cricket.
that-
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that transition like?
Oh, it was an eye opener. When I was in Vredenburg, we didn't take rugby as seriously as
Yeah.
they do up here, and derbies and stuff like that. I wasn't used to that type of stuff. We never even spoke about it, or we did speak about it, but not in the same way that people do up here. It's almost like you cut your balls if you lose against Affies or whatever. And so it was a different experience. Obviously learned a lot, and you can see why guys that come out of a bigger rugby school make it. It just prepares you better, and the opportunity, you have the right eyes on you, so it helps a lot.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I've got a question. So I heard a rumor that you offered a bursary to go to St. Stithians.
Yes.
That's my school.
Really?
Yeah, so I want to know now, why did you turn that down?
Come on.
No, it was-
Great call.
I really considered it, and I almost went, but because I was in Afrikaans school, and you know how important your grade 11 year is, and they offered me in my grade 10 year, so I was meant to go there in my grade 11 year, and we just decided that it's going to be too difficult to make the transition in such an important year, talking about university afterwards and stuff like that. So that's the only reason why I didn't go.
From a rugby perspective, probably the right call.
Yeah.
You've been shocking the last few years.
I was going to ask you, play Grand Como in under 16?
I did,
Oh,
yes.
you did also that, and that obviously just escalated. Everyone was probably knocking on your door at that point.
Well, I wasn't great at Grand Como, to be honest. I was a small kid. I was there. I would say I was average, but people saw potential. I wasn't like, I would say, Go and Ambrose. They stood out. They were like the big men.
Wasn't Gus Damien Willems who played there as well?
He's a year younger than me.
He's
He's a year younger than me. So I didn't play with him Grand Como, but we definitely had a few big names, but I wasn't one of them.
Yeah. Just on that, because under 20s, I know I think Gaza was in your squad. Was
Yes, my second year under 20s.
Yeah, and
played
then,
together.
yeah, 100%. And in that year, it was you, Gerry, Grobies, I think.
Yeah.
A couple of Emmy,
Ambrose.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. A couple of the Bulls guys. So at that point, I'm not sure. Were those guys at the contract with the Bulls already?
I think we all came to the Bulls under 19. We had a proper under 19, under 21 squad, and we played SA schools together. We played SA under 20 together, and now at the Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark actually asked you this similar question as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that team underperformed and underachieved the under 20 team?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think
I
so?
think we lost in the final twice,
Yeah.
which is obviously disappointing.
Yeah.
But the way we lost, we got beaten by proper sides. I wouldn't say we underperformed. We
Fair
had a very good season both years. So the team did well.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Like a.
But that's great. Like that group has stayed together. You're all still here at the Vodacom Bulls. You're all still like core members of the team. So what's that like growing up? Maybe not in rugby was growing up together
Yes,
as a core.
100%.
Now it's lekker to see to see that group, the guys coming through. Because you have to remember, we're talking about 5 or 6 guys now.
Yeah.
And we were a group of 50, 55.
Yeah.
So to be with the guys who's still at the Bulls and still making strides and still going forward, it's good to be a part of it. It's lekker to see the guys growing in their professional lives, but also their personal lives. We've obviously grown a lot since under 19, and it's obviously you have a special bond with those guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So you made your Blitzboks debut in 2015.
No,
That can't be right.
2016.
2016, yeah.
2017 actually.
2017. So
Yeah,
you were 20.
I was 20.
20. Okay. Chat about that. What was it about sevens rugby that drew you to that version of our sport?
So what happened there, obviously when I was in school, I always wanted to play sevens because I thought that the game fitted my style of play very nicely. But then in my under 19 year, I was only supposed to go for a pre-season. So I was meant to go to get a bit stronger, get my defense up, and then come back for the under 21 Currie Cup the next year. And but then pre-season went well. And then the following year I made my debut, and then I decided to stay on a bit longer and come back to the Bulls a bit later. And I did that for 3 more years after that.
Yeah.
So it was
What a team.
It was a flipping.
Yeah.
I was fortunate to still play with the old.
Yeah.
There's that generation. You guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
Cecil and the boys.
Cecil and the boys,
Yeah.
and I got them towards their end, and but it was great to learn a lot from those guys.
Yeah, and I was speaking about Cecil. You got to captain the sevens team, didn't you? In Australasia, in New
Yes.
Zealand, Australia. Tell us about that. The honor of captaining, possibly the greatest sevens team in the world at the time.
And it was a big honor.
Yeah.
But obviously a lot of pressure comes with it, but a big privilege as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Not something I would have seen myself doing at such a young age.
Yeah. And then I also wanted to find out, so I've also wanted to find out for guys, especially at that level, play sevens for like so long, 3 years, right? The transition back into 15 man, is it quite difficult, or like is it pretty seamless for you guys?
I would say it depends on what type of player you are. For a guy like Kwacha, he plays almost the same game in 15s that he played in sevens.
Sure.
But for a guy like myself or Salvin Davids or whoever, he plays a different game and he might have to adjust his game a little bit. I think it goes to player. Sure. You can't put an umbrella on it and say everybody's gonna struggle when they move back to 15s. For me, it was quite easy because I played 15s every year. I played Currie Cup. I came back for the Currie Cup, so I didn't lose touch with the 15-man game. But yeah, I would say it would depend on the player and how he
position
approaches
as
the
well.
game.
Surely, like
100%.
like 13, I would imagine would be a more difficult position to transfer from sevens to 15, especially defensively.
I agree, 100%. And decision-making positions like 15 or fly-off, that would also have an influence because if you lose that timing and that precision after a couple of years, it takes a while to get back into it.
Yeah. And I'll also maybe think to the other side, maybe it could also help you at sevens for 13 because in sevens when you're defending, right? There's only so many of you, so you're reading the defensive lines a lot more quicker.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's gonna depend on the situation.
100%.
You can't have an umbrella answer on that one.
That's awesome.
Chatting about sevens, and I think it was the following year, so it was under 21 you're playing for the Bulls where you did your ankle. You had an ankle injury.
Yes.
How did that set you back? Because I know you just made your Blitzboks debut. Things are all trending in the right direction. Everything's looking rosy, and then you get that injury, and I think it robbed you of your home tournament, your Cape Town Sevens tournament, did it not?
It did, yes.
Yeah.
I went to that tournament in a moon boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was that mentally? Well, first of all, what happened, and then mentally, how did you deal with that?
I can't remember exactly how I did my syndesmosis that year, but it was also in the under 21 Currie Cup final, and I was meant to go back to the 7 straight after that final, and then obviously tore my syndesmosis. It's disappointing, but it was towards the end of the year. Everyone went on break. I stayed at SAS for that December. Worked throughout December. Came back for that Australasia tour the following year, and I actually had a good tournament, good New Zealand and Australia. So that's actually a period of my sevens career that I pride myself on, that I made the sacrifice to stay in and work hard. And I came back good, came back proper. So yeah, it was a setback obviously because everyone wants to play Cape Town.
Yeah.
But I see the comeback as a victory.
Yeah.
Other than Cape Town, Mr. Gans, because I know it's probably going to be your favorite, right? Your favorite venue in the sevens on the seventh circuit. Where would you say is your favorite place to play? What's your favorite place to play?
I would say it's between Vancouver or Hong Kong. Two massive tournaments, and yeah, it's just nice.
Okay, let's chat now your kind of breakthrough season with the Vodacom Bulls. I know it wasn't your debut, but that 2020 Currie Cup campaign in the height of COVID, you were top try scorer in that tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
You were.
I think you were.
You were, yeah. I mean, you were phenomenal. You were just scoring tries left, right, and centre. You scored that incredible intercept from Elton Yankees where you flying off of the ground to collect it. Just a word on that, on making your breakthrough that season, and how was that campaign for you?
No, that was obviously a special campaign, and it was the first time at the Bulls that in a senior setup that I got the opportunity to play game after game. And when you do that, you just get better and better. So that was a lekker season. Fond memories of that season.
Awesome. And then I want to just a side one, because you are obviously very well known to be a very quick man. Stedman Gans, some like to call you. I want to ask you.
Stedman Gans, as owner Kamani calls you.
It drives Martin saying when they say your name wrong. but Steadies, what is your 100-meter time? I asked DK this. He said his was 11.8 at Grey Bloom. I don't know how truthful that is. What's your quickest 100-meter time?
Keegan said the other day his was a 10.9.
Oh, Keegan Johannes? No.
Keegan Johannes, and I said, there's no way. I actually never ran the 100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at school I was a long distance runner.
Okay.
So I did, in my younger years, I did the 3,000.
Jeez.
I came down to the 1.5. And towards the end, grade 10, grade 11, I did the 800. So I wasn't a fast boykie. I could run for long. Yes.
Well, what is 800-meter time? Fast 800-meter time?
I can't remember, to be honest, no.
But
It wasn't...
Were you one of the top boys?
No, it wasn't up there. I was always middle of the pack type of... Always had to work a bit harder just to stay in the middle of the pack.
Really?
100%.
It's
Sure.
crazy.
It doesn't come across on field.
Yeah, as well.
Who do you reckon is the fastest oak in the squad?
At the moment?
Yeah.
I think it's either Kirtley or...
Francois Klopper.
Between him and Jacques van Rooyen. So either Kirtley, Moody, Easy, it's up there. I don't know.
So Easy's quick, they back him to be like one of the faster guys.
Yeah.
Well, Jacques was talking now about how fast he is. He's saying
Easy is flipping quick.
Yeah. Do you have any more on that, or are we going to go to quick fire?
Yeah, I think quick fire, because this is always like... Oh, no, I've got something, Mark.
Yeah.
Let us know. 2 blokes. Is it 2 blokes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Plug your coffee.
Yeah, please, let us know about 2 blokes, where I can get it.
Yeah.
Etc.
So like you guys know, I've got the coffee trailer here at Loftus. And so the guy who roasted for me, or he's still roasting for me, we partnered up and started 2 Blokes Roasteries. So the whole idea is to start like a monthly subscription-based coffee, where you subscribe and you can receive a monthly dose of... We're going to do a specialty coffee every month. We send it out, and then every month you have a new flavor in your house. It's just to create... coffee culture in South Africa is obviously growing a lot. And we've seen the opportunity, and obviously I'm a coffee lover. We've got a lot of coffee lovers here. And we want to give people the opportunity to taste the flavors of the world. Yeah. And this is the best way we saw that we can do it. We're also going to have a range where you just can buy coffee once off if you want to. And that's something we're going to get off the ground pretty soon.
Okay, cool. And then when it is off the ground, where can you go and get it? I think we're both pretty disappointed you didn't bring some samples.
Yeah.
Where can you go and get it when it is up and running?
Two Blokes, you can go to Two Blokes Roasteries on Instagram. You'll get our website there, and you'll see our catalog there as well.
And then you have to pick it up, or does it get delivered? How does it work?
Well, it depends. That will be your option.
Yeah, awesome.
Both options will be available.
Okay, great. So look out for that. Two Blokes Coffee. Quick fire questions, Steadies. These are just off the top of the dome. Just trying to find them. Okay, cool. Rugby idol growing up.
Brian Abana.
Okay. Best player you ever played against.
Semira Radra.
Imagine tackling that. It's nice. Best player you ever played with.
South Africa.
Wow, okay. Favorite dop.
Favorite dop.
Yeah.
Whiskey.
Well, okay. Who would you take to war?
Marco van Staden.
It's gone. Fair enough.
That's it. That's as far as I got. I think I fell asleep.
Thank you so much, Steady.
Oh wait, we got to get you to.
As we're tripping up with this one.
Yeah, are you going to grab it?
Say.
Okay, perfect. So this is a segment we do every week with every player. Just going to get you to write down your MVP in the squad. And again, it's not necessarily the most talented player. Maybe not even the first person that the public would generally think, but the guy who you think just offers the most, contributes the most, works the hardest, whatever that you think is the most positive influence on the team. And we'll keep it anonymous from the viewers.
Okay. I think.
Fair enough.
Why would you go for this player without giving his name away?
I just think he's a hard worker. Doesn't talk a lot, but always puts his body on the line for the team.
That rules Cornel Hendricks out.
Can't be now. Yeah. He always puts his body on the line. Always bleeding for the team, literally.
Oh, that's a dead giveaway.
I just think he's a guy that fully commits, and that's what you need if you want to be successful.
100%. I think we'll leave it there.
Perfect.
Thanks so much, Steady.
Thanks,
Really
Steady.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you for joining us. Oh, lekker. Okay, let's chat about a Wolf's betting segment. We're each going to pick a parlay. KK. I had an absolute stinker last weekend. I went 1-3. Unreal. Storms were the only team that won from our parlay. But I was crazy going for Northampton. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but
9-1 odds.
Yeah,
That is
but
no shot.
I think you kind of had to do it, didn't you, Marky? Yeah.
Jeepers, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going that crazy. I'm going to rein it in a little bit.
Oh yeah. And Mark and I agreed that we're gonna do a little comp. So at the end of the season, we will obviously this season, the loser has to buy the other one a bottle of Richelieu. So a little bit of bottle of Richelieu your way there. So
All to play for. You went 2-2. You did a little bit better. So you're in the lead at the moment.
yeah, but still not great.
I'm pulling it back with this one. Okay, let me go through mine quickly. Okay, as I said, I'm taking it a little bit more seriously now. I've gone Bulls to beat Scarlets. There's decent odds there. I've gone Ulster to beat Stormers. I know we're gonna debate that one. I just think Stormers they've come back to Cape Town. Now they're gonna fly back to Ireland. So a lot of travel. They don't travel particularly well. When they had to do that against Glasgow, they dropped that game. I think they're gonna drop this one. They weren't brilliant against Clermont. I mean, Clermont were the better team for the first half. Defended really well. That's how you play the Stormers. They love to keep ball in hand. If you have a good defensive line and defensive system, you can beat them, which Ulster do have. Well coached, well structured. I think Ulster are the Achilles heel of the Stormers. I think styles win games, and this matchup is a nightmare for the Stormers. I don't see. And remember, in the semi-final, the Stormers almost lost that game against Ulster. It took that final kick from Ronnie de Borg at home to win it. Ulster's a matchup nightmare for the Stormers. I think Ulster's winning that, and they're playing up there in Ireland, in the north, in Belfast. So I'm going Ulster there. And then second last is Glasgow to beat Dragons. Glasgow's my sneaky number 4. I think they're going to make the semis. I think they absolutely marmalize the Dragons. I think wipe the floor with them. Dragons aren't a great team. Not far to travel for Glasgow. Glasgow's got too much class. They're playing with too much confidence. They're too red hot at the moment to lose that game. And lastly, my big bet of the weekend, Lions to beat Connacht.
Oh, that's a nice one.
They defeated Dragons.
What are the odds there?
Let's have a look at Lions are heavy underdogs. I think it's like 4-1 odds. They beat Dragons last week, playing in the Challenge Cup. They travel really well. It's bizarre. They don't play well at home and then they travel well. I mean, they drew with the Dragons at home and then beat them relatively soundly away from home. So it's weird. I think the Lions, I mean, they're going to stay over there in the north. Travel's not an issue for them. They've won a couple games in Wales. I think they can do it in Ireland against the weakest of the 4 Irish franchises. Lions to beat Connacht. That's my big one for the weekend.
That's wild, Marky. So I've gone for the first one, Bulls to beat Scarlets. Obviously, those are nice odds, 1.45, for favorites at home. I think you take those any day of the week, even if you're not a Bulls supporter, like Mark and I are. And then I've gone the other way for the Stormers-Ulster game. I've gone Stormers to beat resurgent Ulster. Yes, Ulster I've said resurgent because they won their last game. They were looking a lot better. But I just feel like the odds were just too good not to take for Stormers to beat them. I think that was my big bet, because I think out of all of these, I think Stormers are the most likely to win away from home as underdogs, 4.45 underdogs. So it was just for me, just too good not to take. And you need to go big sometimes. And then I've got Munster to beat Benetton away, where they were 1.39 favorites. Nothing special there. And then Sharks to beat Edinburgh away. It's 2.5 underdogs with the Sharks. It's going to be a tough fixture for the Sharks
to beat Edinburgh.
Yeah, but
they're staying there.
And they're staying there as well. They're staying there as well. So I've gone for that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, and what you call it? Edinburgh. They beat the Saracens. Sorry, the last time out. So Sharks were also looking to bounce back from the Quins game, But that we watched the Quins game, Mark. Like the Sharks weren't all there. They had already qualified. It seemed like they weren't really playing at full throttle.
And as you say now, every game is almost a playoff game in the URC for the Sharks.
Especially for the Sharks.
They're languishing. They're ninth on the log. They're outside of the top. They have to win. They've got 2 games in hand, but they've got a tough matchup against the Stormers coming up. They've got to play the Stormers twice. So and they got to they
have to win that.
They have to win it. They're flying from London to Edinburgh. It's easy. It's a skip for them. Edinburgh team's good, but I forgot about that. That travel's always what you have to take into consideration. I think they're going to win that game. I might be tempted. It's not part of my parlay. I might be tempted to just put a couple handy on that. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll leave it there, okay? It's been a nice informative debate.
Like a what?
Nothing like a debate, eh?
Yeah, nothing
nice informative discussion. Great fight before the show, which is always good.
Yeah. Probably sorted us
and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for joining in. Tuning in. Jeepers, I'm having a shock. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Awesome.